Okay. Um, I can immediately see the problem with what I'm doing already. In that I think I probably really need to speak to the moves I'm making on the screen. Um, and so having to sort of mute and, I guess a bit like the other videos, I do a bit of narrating and then we sort of will do, many minutes sort of working with the software and on the track. Here, I guess I'd probably want to be talking to talking to what I'm actually doing on the screen. I don't have headphones on me, and I can't be bothered going inside to get them. So we will. I'll take the opportunity to talk to what I've been doing, but essentially, I think I'm just going to start with the manual. Um, well, I've got the manual on hand. We've got a single effect. We've got a single sample that we're going to use across, two bars, and we'll start with the initial preset and look at how things are affected by the plugin. So yeah. Okay, so I think we've already, um, yeah, I mean, that's enough mucking around to start with. So I think what we're seeing here is that um, the delay parameters, you can see here, it's sort of giving us a hint as to how things are flowing from the effect. So we've got our dry sample, and also here on in Studio One, I was struggling before because none of the panning changes that I was making in the effect were showing up in the stereoscope here, and that was because I was on a mono channel, and a mono channel will only ever be will never have any stereo components. So the first thing I had to do was in Studio One make the clap channel stereo, and from there I guess we could make changes here in the delay, here in the I guess in the channel area where you can sort of pan the output left or right. One thing I'm struggling with, and okay, so that was the first thing. The next thing we're sort of describing is that how does the input, how does the effect process what it's receiving? And here we can see that we've got a filter, and so the sound obviously comes in here on the filter and then goes into the overdrive unit, which is, so I'm assuming at least that is, and that's the overdrive. Now that can be configured so that it goes through the filter first, then through the overdrive, or alternatively it goes through the overdrive unit down here and then into the filter. And then we've, or is it a feedback loop? I mean, that could, I'm not sure if it stands for filter or feedback loop. Regardless, the feedback controls are down here, and that feedback control has some type of spread control, where I would expect to be seeing something, well, some type of stereo effect, and I'm not doing that. I'm not seeing that at the moment. If I look at the Stereoscope Pro here, we can obviously see we've got sound coming down the middle, which is our input, our dry input audio, and then we've got an effect or an output coming out through the left, but we're not seeing anything on the right. So there isn't any sort of ping pong effect or anything like that that's happening. So I think we'll just play around a little bit more and see if we can get that ping pong effect. If it's at all possible. If it's not, I guess we'll just have to play with the multi taps and have different taps, have different taps configured with different panning settings. Anyway, so we'll get back into it and see how we go. Okay, so something I think I've just seen here is that there's a route. I mean, this is quite an unintuitive sort of user interface, but I guess a lot of these plugins are like that. It looks like down here there's a routing section. So it's saying it looks like the input comes in and then hits all of these. So it should come in through all of the channels simultaneously. It looks like, or you can have it come in through one, which then feeds into two, which feeds into three, which feeds into four. Um, so I'm not sure what to make of this. Actually, we might have to just experiment with that anyway. So we'll see if that makes a difference. Okay. So something else I'm just noticing here. It looks like there must be some type of shortcut in, like, it's got copy and paste here, but these are obvious. These lights obviously here sort of denote whether or not the plugin is this channel has been selected. So if I click on these numbers, it lights up this button here. And obviously there's some type of facility, and you can obviously lock the settings on the channel. So if I select this one and lock that, it still lets you edit things. So I don't understand what that is. So there's a couple of things I might just need to go to the manual on here just to see what these things actually do. I'm up to 32 minutes, so it's I guess the getting of wisdom is long and arduous, I guess. So I'll just quickly see if I can confirm what those shortcuts are, and then we'll have to wrap things up, I guess. Um, think. Okay, so it looks like I can copy by holding Control and Windows. If I select this and select that, and then I can hit paste. And so now if I look at the settings, they're identical for both. As far as this lock is concerned, I'm not sure, so I might just quickly go back and have a look at that. So if I go find block, so we're going to go lock. Okay, so padlock is a functionality which allows to block certain groups of parameters before changing their value during reloading of presets. Okay, so it looks like we can, if I was to, I select this, I change the preset. Yep. I believe that stayed the same. Okay, we'll just pay attention here. If I go to another preset, yes, this delay line is staying the same. So if I change that now, we can see the settings change. Okay, so this is quite an involved plugin, and the manual is actually quite massive, and it can be MIDI controlled by holding the keyboard and things like that. So I reckon I could probably spend 2 or 3 hours going through the settings on this. Alright, well, this has been an interesting experiment. We will probably pick this one up in a couple of days. So tomorrow I think I'll just go back to the other track and see if we can just still make some more progress on the track, and then we'll come back to these and do another deep dive session on this particular delay plugin, and see what sort of sounds we can get out of it. And I think if we can, I feel like I have learnt something here. If we just push through all the different features, and if we can create some perhaps I don't know, we might have to do some work in the DAW and maybe create some like an input channel and an output channel where we can record the results of the effects. And the other thing that I haven't done today is, which I probably should do as a habit, is to make sure we're familiar with the preset loading and saving process on these plugins, because these plugins, presets are great, but I guess they can easily make you very lazy, and you don't really know how to get the most out of the effect in the context of your own music. So we'll revisit that in a couple of days and see how we go. All right, good night.